Let's do some other stories now. The Ghana Community Radio Network has described as unfortunate and an affront on media freedom the decision of the Ada Traditional Council to bar journalists from Radio Ada from covering the just-ended Asafotufiami Festival. The council, in a letter responding to the station's concern of omission on the list of media houses, said the radio station should not mount a live studio at the event of the grounds. Neither will its members, that's the chiefs, grant interviews to the media network. Again, it prohibited 3 of its journalists from entering the venue. Chairman of the festival's organizing committee, Nene Obichre, explained further to Joy News what informed their decision. We'll hear from him shortly, but let's go live to Zoom now and speak to the Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Brahma. He joins us on the line. Mr. Brahma, thank you very much for your time here. You've been following this development. What is your reading into this? The Traditional Council insists this is not an attack on media freedom, as far as there was no physical harm or personal attack on any of the persons involved.
Well, it certainly is an incident of press freedom violation, and not just that, but also an infraction to the fundamental rights of the ordinary people of Ada to access information. Apart from that, there is also a restriction imposed on 3 of the journalists in terms of their freedom of movement and freedom to join whatever groups that they would want to join in connection with the exercise. I think it's important to also look at the antecedents towards all these issues that have happened in relation to Radio Ada. If you would recall, sometime in mid-January, the station was vandalized by thugs from the community. And subsequent to that, the station managed to come back on air. Radio Ada is not new to the Ada community. It's one of the preeminent radio stations in the country. And in terms of community radio, it is actually one of the most regarded community radio stations in our country. It's often noted for its professionalism. And indeed, if you want a community radio station that is indeed committed to the true principles of community radio station, Radio Ada would be perhaps the #1 on the list. So it's all about this whole mining lease that has been granted the Magdan Group, which essentially is depriving a section of the ordinary people in the Ada area of their livelihood. And the radio station essentially is doing what a radio station must do, articulating the concerns of the community people, serving as the voice of the voiceless. And so for me, it is very, very disturbing that the people who are supposed to be representing the interest of the ordinary people are today the ones who are saying, look, the station that serves the community and serves the ordinary people must not participate in an activity that is about the people. It's really, really disturbing. And it's a matter that we are taking quite seriously. And we'll do all that it takes to ensure that the fundamental rights that are guaranteed in our Constitution in terms of press freedom, in terms of freedom of journalists, in terms of freedom to access information is adequately respected and protected throughout the country.
So I see you draw the link between what is happening now to the attack on the station, because of the Songo Lagoon issues and Electrochem. As it stands now, I guess it is safe to say that we do not have sufficient evidence to say that the incident of the time is what necessitated or is playing out, explicitly in this ban by the chiefs. What we do know is that the chiefs have placed a ban on their actions. I mean, are we not stretching the issue if we go on to say this is, as a result of what we've seen in the last few months? Absolutely not.
Look, the person who leads the program that the chiefs complain about, one of the officials of the station is called Noah Dame. Noah was among those who were brutalized. In the statement issued by the chiefs and people, if you read it, Noah is among the 3. And in fact, they specifically say the producers of that particular program, Mano Munyo, which essentially is the program that focuses on the salt industry, the lease, and how it is impacting the people and so on. Those are the three people who have been listed by the chiefs. As I speak to you, Noah has been processed for court for what is referred to as publication of false news. And guess who is related to this? It is, the CEO of the Magdan Group. Okay. So there is certainly enough evidence for one to conclude that all this is as a result of what the station is doing, which is what is expected of a community radio station. And in fact, every radio station serving the interest of the people in the community that they are located. Mm-hmm. And that is why, for me, it is extremely disturbing that you have the chiefs who are supposed to be custodians of the people and must serve the interests of the people, now saying that, look, a station that is working in the interest of the people is prevented from an event, which is a festival, which certainly is about the people.
Well, Mr. Brima, just hold on briefly for me. We have the president of the Ghana Network of Community Radio Stations, Selete Nyomi, joining us also on this issue. Well, we spoke to him earlier, and he said this is an affront on press freedom. Let's listen to him explain why, and then we'll get back to you.
Rather very unfortunate. I mean, it looks like there are some forces behind which are trying to sideline Radio Adan because of the incident which occurred some 10 months ago when they vandalized the station and, beat up some of the people, some of the equipment got destroyed and so on. It's been a very, very funny turn of events. We don't even know what to expect next.
So you're linking the traditional council's ban on Radio Adan to cover the program, the festival, to the electrochem issue.
Absolutely. Because all plans are being made to just frustrate the radio station.
Mm. But the traditional authority also raises a concern. In their letter, they say that they have used language that is very offensive in addressing the chiefs, which is one of the reasons they barred them from, covering the program, especially some individual, journalists from that station. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I know that there has been some, differences between the chiefs and the community radio station as a result of they seeing this whole Songo Lagoon issue from different points of view. But I don't think that they have directly been, insulted any chief. Who does that? Where does this happen? I mean, even if people have a different point of view from what you have, why would you be bad? I mean, the festival itself is a public festival. Everybody's invited. I can imagine there are a lot of foreign journalists. People are carrying stories from various angles. Why would you want to ban an indigenous station from Coun? It's an affront to press freedom. This is one of the occasions where I think that we need to be more united more than ever before. GCRN, of course, will look into it and take it up and see what can be done about it.
Well, Mr. Brima, just finally before you go, I guess this also brings to the fore the issue or the role of community radio stations. Do you think that they are being undermined, and this issue, if not addressed, will set a certain trend, going forward on how we handle community radio stations, but indeed the media when it comes to such public events?
You're right, and that is why we are taking this matter so seriously, because, as I mentioned, the antecedents to this whole unfolding drama is quite an interesting one. Sometime early this year, I know the National Media Commission, for example, was petitioned by persons, some of whom are associated with Electrochem. In fact, one of the traditional leaders who was described as a queen mother in the area, and one of the who also was a petitioner in the NMC petition, happens to be an official of Electrochem. At the time the petition was filed, she was, and I believe she still is, the corporate social responsibility director for the company. So there is absolutely everything connecting Electrochem, the salt mining lease, to what they are doing. And let me say that, look, chiefs are revered. We need to respect them. But we must also say that chiefs are not above criticism. If they are not serving the interest of the people, the media have every right to hold them accountable. Every person in this country, including the president, is supposed to be held accountable, and nobody is above the law. So the chiefs, yes, we respect them, we revere them, but they should know that where they get it wrong, the media have a right to hold them accountable because they are supposed to hold whatever is in their custody in trust on behalf of the people, including the minerals in the soil. And therefore, the radio station has absolute right to hold them accountable to whatever they do. And as I said, we're going to take this matter very, very seriously, because if not, the next time we hear another station in the mining community is then threatened or asked to shut down.
And we'll be keeping tabs on this story to see how it proceeds. Thank you very much. Suleiman Brema is the Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa. Let's go now, catch a flight to Kenya, where the BBC reports that logistical delays and failure of identification kits in some parts of the country has marred a largely peaceful election day. Polls were extended in places that opened late. The general elections comes on the back of intense campaigning dominated by debate about living costs, unemployment and corruption. On Zoom with us is the Agri Muntaba, a journalist with a Nation Media Group in Kenya. Thank you very much, Agri, for joining us. Now, you are on the ground. Give us details or highlights of day one or election day.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Of course, day one was largely peaceful, except the fact that a lot of the identification kits did not work, and therefore it delayed the procedure of voting. Now, these kits were very important because legally, all voters must be identified electronically before voting. It's only in a situation where the kits do not work that a manual register is used to identify voters. Now, this came about since 2017 because some candidates had argued that identifying voters through a manual printed register was likely to cause rigging because all you need to do is just tick a name and then maybe give a voter several ballot papers to tick.
Okay.
And so introduce these KEMS kits so that they restrict one vote to one person.
And so I guess this delayed the process in some of the areas. Did the EC, the Electoral Commission, give an extension, beyond the time scheduled for the close of polls?
Well, the Electoral Commission can only extend voting to a situation where elections have begun late or where the people are still on the queue even after the time allocated for voting has passed. So they did explain that they will do so to all those situations where voting had problems or where lots of people turned up to vote.
How are the parties responding to these hitches?
Well, some parties have complained that these delays are likely to discourage voters from coming back to the queue. I mean, nobody wants to wait for so long and then be told the identification is taking longer. Lots of people want to come to the vote and just cast their ballot and go away to do their businesses. We have had situations where even elections of certain positions have been cancelled because the printing, the ballot papers for those positions did have errors. So, of course, it all leads to the presidential contest because even though people are voting for 6 positions in these elections, the biggest contest is the presidency. And in the past, it has been detected that some people come to vote because of a particular position. And therefore, when you arrive at a polling station, they give you all the ballot papers for the 6 positions. But in actual sense, only one position had actually encouraged you to come and vote. So it is very problematic for candidates because they think that if one of those positions is postponed, then people are likely not to come for the rest.
And it will be interesting to find out how substantially this plays out when counting begins and the declaration is set to be made by the EC. Agri, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back to you. We'll return to you for some more updates. He's a journalist with the Media Group in Kenya. Still to come here on Joy News Prime.